Hey everyone, welcome back to Wrapped. Each year, we count down and break down our favorite albums of the year in a multi-episode special. For 2020, we're doing a 5-episode special counting down each of our top 50 albums of the year, containing 10 episodes per person per episode for a total of 30 different albums per episode. Each album is graded using a multi-category 5 or 10-point grading scale that judges albums based on their musical composition and sonic level of quality, to their collaborative efforts or teamwork with others, to even their conceptual themes and ideas they present, and much, much more. For this year's countdown, please join us in welcoming our good friend and fellow collaborator, Adam Stansell, to Wrapped as our newest full-time host. After joining us as a featured guest last year for 2019's Album of the Year Countdown and launching his own podcast, Christian Hip Hop Culture, his expertise in certain genres of music and well-worded existential commentary led us to him officially joining Wrapped as our third host. Lastly, you can watch each episode on YouTube to see our faces and screen shares of the music we discuss. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can hear each of our favorite songs from each album on our lists in full during the countdown to get a better understanding of the music being discussed. Okay, without further ado, let's wrap. Welcome back to Wrapped, everyone. I am your co-host, Colton Hinderliter, here with my good friends and fellow co-hosts, Ryan Key. He doesn't say anything. And Adam Stansell.
What's up? How's it going?
We didn't rehearse this.
We did not rehearse this. It's okay. It's a candid intro. We are back for the first time in a while. And if you've been riding with us for a little bit, you know that our claim to fame per se is talking about albums of the year. Last year, Ryan and I sat down. We counted down 2019's 100 best albums. We each have a different list. And we start from the bottom and we go to the top. So this year, we're bringing in a featured guest from last year, Adam Stansell, who's on 2 episodes. We're bringing him in full time. He's now part of the Wrapped crew full time. So he has his own list, and we've gleaned down to 50 this year just because it's a lot of content, and we wanted to just kind of compact it all together. That said, it's going to be 5 episodes total we'll go through here. This is the first one we're doing now. We're going to talk about anything that came out between December 1st of last year, 2019, and November 30th of this year. So pretty recent stuff here across a 12-month timeline. We listen to these things, we grade them based on different amounts of categories, give them a scoring system, kind of like Pitchfork or like a movie rating system. And that kind of determines our lists from there. But welcome to the first episode of the top 50 albums of 2020 ranked by the Wrapped crew, starting with episode 1, albums 50 through 41?
41.
Through 41.
41.
So we're just going to go around the table here basically and just count down every single album that we got, and then we'll move on. But I'm going to pass the ball over to Adam to kick us off.
Hazing. Cool. New guy.
Also, I appreciate your reference to the table, even though we're like not even.
It's a virtual table.
Yeah, hey, it's fine. And you got this like bookshelf they're vinyls. Just kidding, not books.
It's inspired by like the For the Record Rob Markman Genius interviews. Yeah,
I got it. Okay. So my 50th album, and there might be a lot of like indie stands out there that are really going to be mad at me for this, but I've been in a mood lately, and so the mood I thought would be really good time to listen to the new Fleet Foxes album, Sure, and it was okay. I liked it. It had a lot of really nice of that stuff that you would expect from Fleet Foxes if you've never listened to them. Very low-key, I don't want to say Americana, but like more folk. And they just did what Fleet Foxes do. And the only reason it's this low for me is I just didn't feel super inspired by it It didn't it didn't hit the thing that I thought it would hit because of the mood I was in. I thought it would do more for me than it did, and I was kind of a little bored. But it's great, honestly. I think it's worth a listen, and it's not super long, 15 songs, a little less than an hour, but it's good. It's a good album.
Yeah, I listened to this actually as well.
What'd you think?
I appreciate the Fleet Foxes, and
see.
I think a big part of why it didn't, because for preface, everyone, like I listened to 150 albums, so a lot of good albums aren't going to be on my list. I don't remember where it placed at. It's not in the bottom. It's like somewhere like around the 70s or 80s, I think. Like you said, it's not for me, I think, and it was a little slow. Like asking me to listen to an hour-long album of kind of the same song over and over is a lot.
Yeah, a lot of my like bottom 10 are like that. Like the reason I didn't like them is because of that.
Yep. I agree, man. I'm with it.
Also, plug Hydro Jug. Okay.
We're not sponsored.
I know we're not. I just really like it. It's great for water consumption, making sure you stay hydrated out there, everybody.
That's
stay
real.
healthy.
That's real.
Stay safe.
An empty Topo Chico bottle that's not showing up on the screen. There it is.
Got my Chick-fil-A cup because homophobic chicken.
Good Lord. All right, Ryan, what you got for 50?
All right, so my 50th album is by a guy that made a song a time ago with a dude named Avicii called Wake Me Up, and his name is Aloe Black, and he has an album that is probably the most average album I've ever heard.
Oh, no.
Like,
geez, y'all roasting these artists out here.
No. It's fine.
Like,
it's fine.
It's not like necessarily average and a bad thing. It just like wasn't necessarily spectacular, but it also wasn't bad. It was just like, okay, like this is cool. Like it is very oddly, this is very musical theater sounding to me.
Okay.
Like you could just go through and you could like pick out where songs would go. Like there's songs on here that are definitely like your male love interest singing a song about how much he loves his female best friend, but she doesn't hear it, and it's just like your male ensemble dance number or whatever. And there's like I Do is a very like sweet song, and it's like it's my favorite song from the album. But I like it was just okay. Like it has like some odd like electronic moments that don't really fit. And it's just like it's honestly just okay. Like there's not like I don't like there's not like a bunch of bad stuff about it. It's just not special. Like it is just there. Like it exists. It's an album to listen to if you just want something on.
Hey, that's fair.
If that makes sense.
Sometimes it be like that, man.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, but like there's albums that you can just put on in the background for noise, like any of like the lo-fi albums like Philanthrope and like those guys, and it's really good background music because that is what it's made for. But this is just like okay, and sometimes you'll be like, oh, that's nice, and then sometimes you'll be like, what is actually happening right now? if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 50 is something I did not think was going to make my list. Is Savage Mode 2
21
by 21 Savage and Metro Boomin. I honestly was surprised by this because once again, 21 Savage was on my 2018 top 50 list back when all I had was like a 50 list on Instagram. And it was like, I'm Greater Than I Was, the one that had the J. Cole song that won the Grammy. A lot slapped. But other than that, I was like, he's not really an artist on like an album kind of thing. He's a great feature. He's a great single maker. But honestly, this was probably his best body of work I've heard from him as a whole. It just slapped from beginning to back because I gave it a score. I scored all of these. It got an 8.2 for me. Like it was good, and also probably too because of the fact of like certain factors like the cover art. This cover art is great because it's like an ode to like the like early 2000s Houston area rap, like kind of cheesy because it's like low budget, but like that was smart because it matched the concept. The trailer for it, the fact that Morgan Freeman is like the narrator of the album,
that's really cool.
is
Yeah.
so cool.
That was
like,
really cool.
just like the concept of it, the cover art and the marketing immediately boosted it up. But then I also just didn't hate this. Like I didn't get really that bored. Run-in, slaps. And honestly, he didn't need that many features because Future's not on this. Features, he has Drake, Young Thug, and Young Nudie, and that's it. Like otherwise,
those are good features though.
Those are good
those
features.
are some solid features.
Like he didn't riddle this thing with features because I think if he did, it wouldn't have been as good and it would have come off as like overwhelming. But this worked for me. Also, I also like the fact that he commented on the whole like ICE detention case he had because he's from Britain. And he's like talking about AKs when I'm from the UK. Like in the music video he had Revolutionary War British soldiers behind him in it, like shooting guns, and it was incredible.
Oh my gosh.
So
That is how you roll with the punches.
that is really how you roll with the punches. Yeah, honestly, impressive body of work from the young Savage.
Young Savage, why you trapping so hard?
We got a quick cameo. My dog wandered in the door.
I saw that.
What up, Graham?
He busted up in here. So my 49, and this one I liked. So I think it made it on the list on principle. When I talk about it, you'll understand. But I didn't necessarily love the musicality of it. And this is an album called The New OK by the Drive-By Truckers.
So, throwback when they performed at BSC.
If you don't know anything about the Drive-By Truckers, they are a southern rock band from my hometown of Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And they were originally founded, and one of their founding members was Jason Isbell, which maybe you've heard of a little bit more. But he left years ago and started his own. Oh, there he goes. He left and started his own own like group, the 400 unit and all this other stuff. But the Drive-By Truckers have been performing a lot since then. They haven't done a lot of recording. And so they had another album EP something come out recently as well, and they are kind of similar. So I only really wanted to listen to in depth one. But the reason I love this is because it's a southern rock band who's politically commentating on the situations in the world right now from the same aspect and viewpoint as myself. So I'm glad you pulled this up. So look at that cover art.
It's good.
You can see that is the Confederate monument in Birmingham, I'm pretty sure. And they've got BLM painted on it. They've got the pride flag on it, and they've got these like vines and like wicked stuff all over it. It's really cool. So the whole thing is this.
They had the BLM shirt at BSC.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see them then, but they also have a song. The last song is called "The KKK Took My Baby Away," which the whole like. Again, the same problem as the last album is that it's very similar. Like all the songs are very similar, but it's southern rock. So like that's kind of how it is. That's just kind of how they work. Yeah, there's the other project, The Unraveling.
They're both 9 songs too.
Yeah. And both of them are very political in nature. Like, I mean, that one has Rosemary with a Bible and a Gun, Thoughts and Prayers. You can assume what that one's about, babies in cages. They've got all these very activist focused songs from a middle-aged white southern rock group, which is so interesting to me to have that commentary also coming from the place that I live, knowing how most of the people who live there think and feel, and knowing that what they have to probably go through if they perform and things like that. That's probably why they travel a lot to perform.
Wow. That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah. And so that's what I mean when I say I kind of put it on here more on principle. I loved the concept of it. That helped put it in here. But the music of it, I'm not a super big fan of classic Southern rock, like what they do. Like it's not quite Skinnerd, but it's more in that realm, and very like lots of gang vocals, lots of really like raspy, like single tone, like speak singing. You know what I mean? Like very traditional Southern, which is cool, and I think a lot of people would really like it if they're willing to lean into that commentary they're putting in. But it's cool. There's a line in one of the songs that says fascism came knocking at the door and Trump let him right in.
Sheesh.
You know, it's hard. Like they're not subtle. They just
Yeah.
let it go.
I love that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
so
wow.
yeah, the representation that they're given is really cool, and I love the fact that they exist. And they're like, they hadn't put out music in a while, and they just threw this out. So
That's cool.
it's cool stuff.
All right, so my next album is No Good Left to Give by Movements, a kind of post-hardcore band that I recently started exploring. Again, this is another album that was just solidly okay. I feel like because I haven't explored a lot of their older music, like some of like their first releases. I don't know how heavy they used to be, but it definitely sounds like a band that at one point in time made really heavy music, trying to make rock radio songs. And it works. Like In My Blood is a very good rock radio song. Santiago Peak would also work very well on the radio. Tunnel Vision, which was the song that I enjoyed the most, has the best blend of like modern rock sounds and also like screams and like kind of that hardcore element as well. But I was just like scrolling through albums and it was like, oh, Movements. I remember hearing their name at a Warped Tour at some point in time. I should listen to them. And I was like, all right, this is cool. They're not as average as like a Black Veil Brides, but they're more along the lines of like a Breaking Benjamin.
Ooh,
where it's like really good when they're really good,
that's a
but
deep cut.
you're just like, okay, because like with like Breaking Benjamin, you had like Diary of Jane and So Cold, which slapped. But after that,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
okay, and there's like it's not necessarily a bad thing because I'm sure there's people that really, really are ride or die for Movements. Like there are ride or die Black Veil Brides fans and ride or die Breaking Benjamin fans and ride or die MGK fans and ride or die everything else. But it was just like okay, I was like I enjoyed it. I'll listen to it again in passing, but probably not like to really. It didn't capture my heart and soul like it would have probably a couple years ago before I knew more about music in general. But it was cool.
Heck yeah.
Sick.
My number 48, Ryan, you're gonna be really happy about this one. Or sorry, 49. I'm losing count already, guys.
Yo, I'm biting my tongue.
So, Ripples by Medicine. You sent this to me a little while back. And I listened
so
to
good.
it and I was like, this is really good. And it's hard for me to grade at times instrumental only leaning albums. Simply, it's just I'm trying to like get around like that. Like one, that's usually not my genre. And like two, just like the way that I lay out my rubrics. But I'm very aware of that. And so I try to like be a little bit nicer in some categories that they can't really compete in with other people as much. But first time I listened to this, I was like, oh, this is going to make the list. Just because it's really freaking good. Like
It's so good.
It's very tight. Like I appreciate the fact that it's only 34 minutes and 14
Everything flows.
songs. Everything flows extremely well. So it scored really well for me on track flow. Overall, similar to Savage, I gave it an 8.2. And it has some solid features. Like they have Duckworth, Naomi Wild, Cassius Clay, Gene Carter, and Kai on here. And it's just tight. It's a solid project. Oh, look, more projects by him. But yeah, I was really just honestly impressed with it, and just the idea of ripples in just sonically, it's very calming. It's like if I was like throwing rocks in a pond for like 30, 40 minutes. Like extremely relaxing. When 2020 has been so not relaxing,
Right.
this album came through, and I was like, "Yo, this is a very relevant album," and it barely has any lyrics. It just worked.
Honestly, I'm gonna not talk about it because I can go on
Yeah, like
forever about
I
it.
know you're gonna talk about it probably later.
Oh, definitely later. But it's like if you just on a surface level, if you wanted something to kind of just like poke you into electronic music, I would hand you this album because it's not necessarily heavy, but there are still things that like get your head bopping and moving, and you can just like drive around to it. You can cook to it. Like you can just like genuinely chill to it.
Yes,
But
you
I'm
can.
gonna stop talking about it because I could go on forever
I need
about
to
how
check this one out.
good Medicine is. He's so good.
I haven't listened to it.
He has a
very-
really
very
good Portugal the Man remix as well.
Ooh, okay, I dig Portugal Man, so that's good.
Really good. Also a really good remix of Wild Thoughts by DJ Khaled.
Interesting.
Oh wow. Okay.
All right, my
Yeah, dude, you
You
got
are.
it.
all right,
48.
48. This is Out of Body by Need to Breathe.
Need to Breathe is still around.
So okay, here it is. Have you ever listened to a Need to Breathe album? Yes? You'll like this. Do you like Need to Breathe? No? Then don't bother listening to this. It's just Need to Breathe being Need to Breathe, which I like. And so like it's fine. Like it's nothing special. Like they didn't change the formula. They didn't really do anything risky. Their previous album before this, they did a little bit different things. But this one they just kind of went back to their old like folk Americana, vaguely Christian music, which is fine. I mean, they've been doing it for a long time, and they're really successful as a result. I mean, they've literally been touring for like 20 years or something crazy. Like they've been around since the early 2000s at the earliest,
At least.
or at the latest. They might have even been around before that. But
Are they a Christian band? Because that has always been like a.
I mean,
okay.
vaguely. I mean, like they're as much a Christian band as like somebody.
Switchfoot.
I would say less so than Switchfoot because it's not
Okay.
quite as youth creepy. And you know exactly what I mean when I say that.
I do.
But
I know exactly what you mean.
the song
That cover art is insane.
the cover art's
Yeah,
really cool.
It's really good.
The song that I would say like would take it up a notch is probably Who Am I? I really liked Who Am I? But it is a great Need to Breathe album that is very good if you already like things like Need to Breathe. Do you like Gavin DeGraw? You might also really like this album. It's just very similar to a lot of the stuff they've previously done. And so like I don't want to knock on it and I don't want to talk too much about it just because I feel like it's very okay.
That's
solidly
fair.
okay.
I feel like
That's
that's
fair.
the theme of the first.
The
10.
yeah, like the bottom 10 is just like it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy this because last year it was kind of just very disheartening to start off with just the 30 albums that I thought were terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting this year, like with y'all and then like me, where I freaking binged hecka albums. It's like my top 50.
You
You
like
already
all of it.
you got an 8 already. Like you have to have an 8.2 to make my top 50.
Yeah, my like
Yeah.
I don't start hitting that level until like the 20s.
Yeah, I'm at like 3.2. Because mine was
I
out
didn't
of
go that
5.
low.
Mine
You're
was
on
out of.
you're on a
mine was
5-point
out of
scale,
5.
right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
okay.
out of 5.
So that's like a,
So-
like a
Okay.
6.4 starting. So it's like generally like okay starting.
And I tried
right?
to be tougher this year than I was last year.
I did too. I
But-
literally went back and regraded all of my albums about a month ago.
See, every
just
time I
to make
re-
them tighter.
Every time I regrade stuff, it always ends up going up because I'm sat with it.
Yeah. Or it goes down because you're like, actually, I
Like,
listened to
the
this once and I thought it was okay, and I listened to it again. I'm like, actually, it's not that
Like-
good.
Right.
Well, when we get to some of those that change, I'll talk about it in more detail. But
Yeah, I would
Anyway.
like to know.
Okay, so my next album is our first repeat.
Oh,
Um,
already? We already have a repeat? Hold
we
the
have a
phone.
repeat.
What is it?
what is it?
It is Savage Mode.
Yeah.
2
Oh, okay. Wow.
Let's go.
by 21 Savage. So I listened to this And I enjoyed it. I think 21 Savage is one of the funniest rappers ever.
Him and Young Thug.
Oh, they're hilarious, but they're both very, very good at. He knows exactly what he's good at doing and doesn't really deviate from that, and I appreciate that. And when he does, it kind of feels like on like Mr. Right Now with Drake when he's kind of like singing more. It's weird to hear kind of him trying to croon, because he's like trying to croon, but it's very 21 Savage like.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like the line at the end where he talks about his glizzy, like it's just he's like, "Oh yeah, this is also a complete joke, and you shouldn't have taken this song seriously." And I enjoyed that. I will say I enjoyed hearing Morgan Freeman talk about the differences between snitches.
Snitches and rats.
That was insane.
Yeah, that's
I've
cool.
never been scared of Morgan Freeman before. I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it wasn't as good as Savage Mode 1. It proves how good Metro Boomin is at making beats, but at the same time, Metro Boomin beats sound like Metro Boomin beats all the time.
Yeah.
And it's different than like a Zaytoven who puts a ton of variety in their music, or like a Murda. Even and like Murda kind of falls into the same thing because he just makes trap beats and like sometimes we'll like explore other sounds like with Butterfly Effects, but most of the time you know exactly what you're gonna get when you hear like his tag. But Metro Boomin is very good at doing Metro Boomin, and I enjoyed this combination a lot. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now.
Hey, you got it.
I'm into it.
That's it.
My number 48, so it's going to be the first of a theme we'll see this year, in which I really explored music that's not in English for the majority of the album. And so I've gotten into K-pop before on previous lists, but I don't think I've had a Spanish leaning album before. And I have a couple this year. And this album actually took me by surprise. This is Sin Vergüenza by, I guess, 116/Reach Records / in my mind, it's really Kardec Drums and various artists.
Mike Yo did a lot too.
Oh yeah, DJ Mike Yovi.
He's a wrestler now. I just need to throw that out there. That makes me so happy.
They all be doing all kinds of stuff, dude.
They do. They're just trying to get the bag.
Hey.
But basically, for listeners who haven't hit this up yet, so like this is essentially a collection of a bunch of Christian hip hop, for lack of a better term, rap artists, and most of them rap in Spanish, but then you have some like Lecrae who come in and they're gonna do it in English. Or there was someone else on here who had a very
Tedashi's on there.
Tadashi.
Akleso does.
Aaron Cole, I think, is on here too.
Is Aaron Cole on there?
Is Aaron Cole on here? We gonna find out.
I didn't think he was on there.
That would be crazy if he was.
Nope, sorry, I got him confused. It was Derek Minor. Derek Minor, 1K is on here. 1K Few. Byron Jawan is on here.
Shout out Byron Jawan.
Anyway. And Social Club Misfits are also on here. So there are some people who.
Shout out Social Club Misfits.
They speak Spanish, both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Brother from Miami, born and bred.
Okay. But
still to this day, one of the best NF features ever.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Hey, continue.
Sorry.
Yeah, but it was very interesting, like how most of this is in Spanish, and honestly, it just goes hard. The production was incredible. Most of the people on here pretty much bodied. Tommy, I think, is the most featured artist on here.
Tommy is
different.
Tommy's built different.
Tommy,
that dude,
incredible,
insane.
He's so good.
Yeah, Tommy Royale has had a really good year. He'll pop up again as a feature on some other stuff I've got, and we've talked about him on different podcasts before. But he's really, really impressive, and he always bodies, especially if he does rap fully in Spanish. So
he always does. Yeah, I don't think I hear him speak English very often.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
That's true.
Yeah,
like
he killed it at the RG show.
Yeah, he's from Puerto Rico. I actually didn't grade this, but I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy. So that last song, Ambiente,
mm-hmm.
with Tommy and RG.
Yeah, crazy.
Fire.
Yeah.
And
Anytime we get to
then-
hear RG is a blessing.
Yeah, literally.
And then that first track with all the features on it, it's just
Yeah,
that cipher style
Uh-huh.
is also really good.
Yeah.
And Wolf also,
Yeah.
the guy right there before Ecleso, he is I think fairly underrated,
Yeah.
especially in that sphere. So he's part of Ecleso, Gavi, and all those other people's like group. He hangs out with them. They're
Like
all
the
from-
Miami
all
CHH crew,
all from
basically.
Miami, yeah. And he has a lot of really cool songs too that he features a lot of these artists on. Like a lot of them are featured on some of his stuff. But yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah, man, good stuff.
I think Gloria
shout out
would
the
have fit.
Wande feature on there.
I know.
too.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Wande. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, shout out to One Day for getting that Apple Music commercial
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
honestly.
I know.
That was really dope. Also, I think Gloria from last year's Summer 19 playlist
Oh,
would have
Glory.
fit perfectly
Yeah.
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah.
All right. My 47 is Dreamland by Coin.
Oh, I didn't listen
Oh,
to that.
coin.
Yeah, I mean, so Coin is a very like 80s synth pop wave type euphoric up tempo band. That's just who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And this album just lays that on thick, and then they kind of have this extra layer of like it's very aptly named. Like Dreamland is a very apt name for it, I think. And so it's, if you've ever listened to Coin, you know like the brand of pop that they bring, and they're really good at what they do. I would probably say out of all the like up tempo 80s synthwave type groups, they're one of the better ones, because I have listened to a lot of that genre this year. But the ones that I tend to like more are the more down tempo, like ethereal, like lay all 10 of your fingers on a synth chord and see what happens type people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a lot more like very driving bass, very driving drum kit sound, a lot of very percussive synths. But yeah, Crash My Car. If you listen to the song Crash My Car, you get the idea. It's very like just very like in your face, very happy. It's, if you ever get in a bad mood and you want to get out of that bad mood, listen to this. It's very good. Coin, I did not originally really like them a lot. Their first album I didn't really enjoy, simply because I do tend to like more down tempo stuff. But they do a really good job. We have a friend, he knows who I'm talking about when he hears this. This is him personified in music. I feel.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like I
Yes.
feel like this is him personified, and I know he loves Coin, but they did a good job with it. I mean, I don't really have a ton to say, but it's a good album.
Yeah, it was just one last note on it. It's funny how you did Drive By Truckers and I did Coin, because both of those artists performed at our college, Birmingham Southern.
I know, and I didn't really think about it. I didn't think about Drive By Truckers at all, but I remembered Coin
Mhm.
doing that. I remembered them being there, but I didn't see it. I think it was I don't know if it was after I graduated or what.
Coin was after you graduated,
Okay,
because Coin
yeah.
was our senior year.
Okay. Yeah.
You Drive By Truckers was who
Wait,
they
hold up.
opened for?
Was Coin? It was our senior year, right? I
If
don't
Drive By
remember.
opened for someone, I probably didn't go, because we usually didn't show up until the main.
Drive By
thing.
Truckers
Because was that the Revivalists?
No.
Mm-mm. That
Solo
was sophomore
person.
year.
A solo person opened for them.
No, it was
no.
Winston Ramble opened up for.
No, it was that
Revivalists.
it was that DJ.
The Revivalists?
Wasn't it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
I don't know who
Anyway.
opened for the Revival. Anyways, let's
No,
see.
it was Winston Ramble that for the Revivalists, because I worked for
Okay,
them.
anyway.
They did it.
Let's see if
I do
any
know
more BSC.
I think it was them and the Drive By
Uh-oh.
Truckers, or were they SoCo?
I don't know. Let's. I have no idea. Head
It's
empty, no thoughts. I
same.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, my number 47 album. Let's get to it.
Oh, there it is.
Drake.
Here it is.
Shout out.
So I enjoyed this as far as Drake projects go. I felt like this is the most rapping Drake we've gotten in a very long time.
That is true.
Like enjoyable rapping Drake, not just kind of like trying to be an R&B singer Drake. This album also proved that I just don't like Playboy Cardi.
Oh,
Can't
really?
stand
See,
him.
I kind of like
Can't
that Playboy Cardi track a little bit.
can't do it.
Oh
Can't
no,
stand him.
no,
Just
no.
hate him. You just yeah. I'm sorry. I
R.I.P.
can't
dude.
do it. Like I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't matter because I think he's terrible.
Uh,
Um, I will say I think my favorite moment on this album is the chorus of Chicago Freestyle that Giveon does, because I've never wanted to fight somebody so bad than when I was listening to that this year. I was just like I it just like it it's so cool.
it is
It's
good.
very good. I also appreciated that he raps. I also appreciated that it was not 30,000 songs long.
That's why it was so
Yeah,
good. Is it was tight.
It was very tight. And I understand that these were just like demos, but like
Hmm.
he could have replaced some songs that he put on whatever these did not make. I feel like because this was Scorpion stuff that didn't make this is
It's
stuff that didn't
a
make Scorpion or
like a
Views.
mixture. It's like Scorpion, Views, all kinds of just
Some of
Lucy's.
these songs could have replaced some of the songs on. Definitely some of the songs on Views could have been replaced by these
Yeah,
easily, and some of the songs on Scorpion as well. But um, it's down here, pretty low because it is. It was again just an okay album. I don't think he's really ever going to recapture that run that he had from like Take Care to, if you're reading this, it's too late, honestly, with the Future collab in there. I don't think he's ever going to get back. To me, I don't think he'll ever return to that, and that is my favorite iteration of Drake. Because that
I don't know
was
that
like
he wants to. Honestly,
he doesn't need to.
you're right.
that's fair.
Like he
I think
just does
he,
not need to.
yeah, I think he firmly is in his not bad. I mean,
It's a bag.
yeah, but see with people like Drake and with Drake especially, like Drake is above the idea of bag. Like
That
he
is
is
true.
a bag. Like other people get in their Drake bag. Like
That is
he's such a big name and has
He's his
so
own
much
fair.
genre.
yeah, he has so much influence and so much like whatever. Like
There's the
people
stimulus package too.
yeah, people aren't Drake famous.
Yeah.
Like people
Yeah,
don't get Drake famous.
No.
Like he's on another level.
yeah, he's next level.
He can go,
We could do a whole podcast episode about Drake and just
yeah,
a lot of topics involving him.
yeah.
Um, so my next album is one of few Grammy nominations I actually agreed with this year, but it's called Free Nationals by the Free Nationals. Self-titled album. The Free Nationals, for those who don't know, are Anderson .Paak's band. They do all of his background instrumentals besides drums, because usually he plays his own drums, but they do have a drummer. But this album is really good because it's basically a band getting together and pulling in a bunch of other friends and really cool people and saying, hey, let's make our first solo project without Anderson as anyone, but he's on 2 songs as a feature, but he's not like on every song.
Yo,
So
these features though.
I know, right? Go away, Shawn Mendes. Yeah, the features are crazy. Like, there's such good features from like Daniel Caesar to Unknown Mortal Orchestra.
Yeah,
Dude,
The
JID.
JID
dude,
song is really good.
this album proved how well he can ride a beat.
Yes.
Just again, once again, his verse on that song impeccable.
This song here, I
Mac
think this
Miller.
was the first posthumous, because initially they were dropping singles for this back in summer of 2019. It was a long time ago. This album actually came out in December of last year, so it was one of the first few ones I hit and listened to. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, this could really go somewhere for me on my list. And here we are almost a year later, and it's 8.3, number 47 for me. But really good project. It's nominated for, I think, like best R&B, some type of R&B album at the Grammys. It's a good pick.
Cool.
Yeah, strong stuff. Super chill. Would be a great album to have on vinyl. Just throw that ish down, make a
For
drink,
sure.
chill.
Cool. All right. So what number are we on? 46?
46.
46.
All right. So previously, I was known as the CHH guy. You might have heard me on several episodes talking about CHH albums, Christian hip hop. I had my own little podcast diversion into that world. And this year, I kind of stepped back a little bit from that genre, mainly to explore other things, but also because of the mood I've been in that I mentioned earlier. But this, there's going to be a run here, a couple of these for me, of CHH albums that I listened to and did not love by artists that I traditionally do really like, which feels weird to me.
Interesting.
And so my number 46 is Antihero by John Keith. So starting off, it is not last, so it's not like I didn't hate it. I was okay. But knowing what John Keith has done, can do with Olympus, which Olympus for me, his previous project, was very good.
We talked about it last year.
I loved. But the thing that killed me for this album was the production. I didn't love it. Which, I've been reading recently, he just left King's Dream.
He did.
He did.
Wow.
And he put out a single like last weekend. That's interesting. But this not version of, but like this sound of his, he's used before on a lot of his previous stuff, and it was always the songs that I would skip. And so like, I like it as an idea, and I like the concept, and I like the lyrics and the writing and all that stuff, but the sound of it, like it just never was something that I found myself coming back to. It's not bad. Like it's fine. It's just something. This is one of those situations where I'm almost like expectation versus reality of like what I wanted versus what I got.
Yeah.
Which is possibly why it's slower than maybe it is for other people or for people who really like it. Just because I had an expectation for it and I didn't get what I thought I was gonna, which doesn't make it bad. And I don't want people to like hate on it for that reason. And I don't want people to not listen to it for that reason. I'm just giving my perception of what I thought it was going to be, and what it ended up being were not the same. And so I didn't like it as much as I might have otherwise. And it also could be affected by the fact that I haven't listened to as much of the genre this year.
That's true.
There's a million reasons why it didn't rock with me as much. If you're gonna pick a song, like if I was gonna pick one to tell you to listen to like get you into it, I would probably say FOMO maybe. FOMO is good. All the tracks are shorter, so it is easier to digest. It's not a very long album. It's only 30 minutes.
34.
Pretty close. But yeah, it is good, but it is definitely, in my opinion, not his best project. And I was worried about that because we talked on my podcast on CHHC, we talked about Way Up when it came out, and I was like, I don't know if I like where Way Up's going.
Oh, but see, I liked Way Up, and I felt that the next single pivoted, and I was like, I don't like the new single, and then it kind of kept going, and the album
Limitless
came out.
after.
Yeah, Limitless. I did not love Limitless.
I did not like Limitless.
I did not love Limitless either.
Yeah, I forget what all the singles from this were, but Way Up is not on here, and I loved Way Up. And then it just came out.
I really like Still God.
Still God's good. Probably second for me of the songs. But another disclaimer here. I don't know if this is like a, not toxic positivity, but like, I feel like sometimes people think you should only gas people up or you shouldn't talk about their stuff. And so, like, I don't want to shy away from criticism too much, because a lot of times people don't want to, like, not that they don't want to hear it, but like fans of people don't want to hear criticisms about people, like about the people that they stan, which I get to an extent. But like at the same time, like if I were an artist, I would want people to tell me what they didn't like or what they thought I could do better with. So I'm approaching this from like I like most of it, but the production I didn't necessarily love. And if it's an artistic decision and you love it and you are sold on that idea, go for it, because there's gonna be people who like it, but I just particularly don't. And so that
was really well put. I like that.
Starting out with some hot takes.
That I knew, and hey, the next couple are gonna be that way. So
wow, buckle up.
Some hot takes.
Sheesh.
I'm really glad that we added Adam. This is nice because it's not just Colton and I yelling at each other like we did last year.
Fun fact before you say your 36, Ryan. Last year, running the metrics of our 10 episode 2019 special, besides the first initial episode, the 191, because everyone's gonna hop on the hype train because like, oh, it's the first episode, let me jump in. And if you kick with it, then you'll come back. But besides those, it was Adam's 2 featured episodes that had the highest
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
listening
here,
rates.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing numbers.
It was
out here.
people really liked
Oh
him.
yeah.
And I was like, that's why we started his own podcast, and that's why we're not bringing him into this. It was like, he says some really great things, and people like it, and we love it. So let's do it.
My 46th album is Aunt Clemens Happy to Be Here.
This is a good project.
It was a very good project. There were just things that were a lot better. This is where we're starting to get to, like where we got to last year around this time where I started to get to my upper threes and like a 3. This is at a 3.6. So from here on, I can say that all of these projects I thought were really good. I just think there are things that were much better. And I thought that like there's a lot of room for Aunt Clemens to grow from here. Like he has the single with Justin Timberlake, which is something that I really thought he should take off and run with when I was listening to this project. I loved the feature with Ty Dolla $ign. I also completely, when I went back to re-listen this to grade it, I completely forgot about him being on Kanye's album.
Yeah. He's behind the scenes. Like,
I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah. He's really going places. Like he's writing for like a lot of people, but he's also trying to do this project and say, hey, I don't just write and produce. I also would like to like start my own like solo career. And
I really appreciate
start.
I really appreciate the fact that he's working with guys like Timbaland and Pharrell, because those guys are going to be around forever. They already have been, like, and so him being able to connect with people like that and people who make music on that level of those two is a very, very, very good sign.
Yeah, I saw on Instagram he was in the stew with a ton of people, but they were all there for Justin Bieber. So whatever JB's doing next, I guess he's gonna have an Aunt Clemens written song, which makes sense because he's like, I do R&B now, but whatever.
I demand to be in the R&B category.
I demand to be in the R&B category. Well, I'm not going to get into that conversation.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that later.
Anywho,
Did we ever figure out who wrote Yummy? Because they need to get fired.
I think it was Pooh Bear. I don't remember.
Ooh, no. I can't fire Pooh Bear. He was...
Yeah.
Do better.
We'll talk about it. Anywho, my 36 is Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa. This was an interesting project because, as a number of artists I'll mention did this year, and like this is how music works, right? You go back in time to a different era of musical sonic sound and you take from it and you kind of modernize it and make it your own. So literally the term future nostalgia of like, this is 2020 future, but like this sounded like Donna Summer, Giorgio Moroder, like 80s, 70s disco vibes. I appreciated its length of 37 minutes and 11 songs, super tight, because I think if this was like 45 to an hour, I would have lost interest. But it's tight. It's well produced. She sounded good on it. It made her really commercially popular, more than she was before this year. So artist growth was really high for me. I gave this an 8.3 as a whole. And then she did something really cool in which like she took this album and she made like a remixed club disco version of it where the Blessed Madonna remixed the entire thing, and she threw in artists like Madonna and Missy Elliott and all kinds of cool people to hop on remixes. Really cool. There's also a DaBaby remix of one of these songs as well. I want to say it's Don't Start Now, which is her most popular song from it. And also note Physical, like, you know, the song Let's Get Physical.
Oh, yeah.
Physical.
Yeah.
It's like she has writing credits for like, she took and got the sample for it. And like, it's kind of a cover, but not really. a physical. So like literally taking a song that was like hype as hell in the 80s and then saying, let me do my version of it where it's recognizable, but it's not a complete cover. So
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
a lot of really impressive stuff from this. It's not super high for me because I don't think that Dua Lipa is my kind of artist, but I respect her.
I was gonna ask because I didn't listen to this, so I don't know. I don't have an idea. So if you were gonna pick somebody to do this sound and do this album, would it have been Dua Lipa?
As a female artist to do this, no. I mean, Dua Lipa was not the first person I would have thought of because I wouldn't have picked Dua Lipa in the first place. She's not on my consciousness enough. I probably would have picked Gaga, maybe.
That's an interesting take.
Gaga kind of did put out the same album.
That's my thing, though, is like we kind of got that, and we'll talk about that album later.
Okay.
I
was just curious.
Maybe Halsey.
Oh.
To just like go and just take a 180.
That's a super big.
Wow, Grande.
I was gonna say that would have been she would have been my pick.
That would be great because that would be a Grande album that would have made my top 50 this year. Because Positions didn't make it for me, to be honest.
Did Positions come out in time?
Yep. Like very recently. Like we're talking like November, like 23rd or something.
I haven't listened to it all the way through, but anyway, moving on.
Great question.
So my number 45 is His Glory Alone by KB.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, hold on. There are individual songs on here that I love. Libre with Tommy Royale, incredible. The song with John Keith, I'm talking about him again because his feature on that song, in my opinion, is better than the album that we just talked about. But I think this album took KB to a position that I did not want KB to go to, and I could get on a soapbox. I'll try to stay brief. So he recently left Reach and signed with Sony. And so he's now under a major label, and he's under a major label with a ton of worship artists. And so this album, Let It Rain, 10K, Armies, all of them are interpolations of worship songs with verses on them. Yes Song is one. Like, all of them are. And so when I listen to this album, the only songs I like are the ones that aren't that. So Libre, Dark Skin, Lil Boy. All of those are what I expect from KB. And the other ones I feel like are him slotting into this more significant CHH position, which I always knew that he was the most CHH of the CHH artists, with the exception of like maybe Tadashi. But like his previous album, Today We Rebel, was probably one of my favorite rap albums of all time. And because it took this position of like the church is not recognizing the reality of what is happening and the reality of who Jesus is. And to me, and this is just to me, this feels like he's willing to forsake that concept and move to this label with all these worship artists for whatever reason. I don't know why. And so it almost kind of hurt me a little bit. I'm going to be honest here, because like this album, like his next project, like after Today We Rebel, I did a whole episode breaking down this entire album. Ryan, you and I literally took that thing apart piece by piece. And
that was fun.
I know. And I really expected another step in that direction. Like maybe if he had gone independent from Reach instead.
I thought that's what he was doing.
No, he went to a bigger label with more people. Like he's on the same label as like Mercy Me, I think, and like Casting Crowns and people like that. It's very weird to me. And so, and especially because like traditionally those groups of people and those circles of people have not been welcoming to this type of sound. Which maybe that's his move, is he's trying to get it more mainstream, which if that's his goal and that's what he wants to do, go for it. But if I've seen one thing this year, it's that there's a lot of gray when it comes to a lot of the mainstream Christian things. And so when I see people leave the gray and go to the side that traditionally is not necessarily affirming in a lot of ways, I get a little wary. But the songs on this album that aren't that way are great. Like Libre is crazy. Tommy Royale, go crazy. I mean, dudes build different. But overall, I liked the sound more than Anti-Hero, but I don't like the message that it's sending, and I don't like the direction that it's going for him. But again, I have to say, if that's the direction he wants to go, more power to him. I'm not going to say that he's doing the wrong thing because I don't think that you can tell anybody what to do. I just particularly do not like it. So it is what it is.
Fair. I will say I remember listening to 10K when he put it up on YouTube, and I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to say anything, so I was like, maybe this is just like a thing. But I was kind of nervous. I don't like it. I don't like it when CHH artists just take worship songs that are been covered by everybody and their mother at some point in time and like try to put a new twist on them. At this point in time, I feel like it'd just be better to write new anthems and things. And because like to me, the last good flip of an old song was "Awesome God" by R. Swift way back when. And if anybody knows when that came out, you know how long it's been then.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents. I liked his live concert experience though. That was sick.
Oh, that did look dope. The lineup
that was really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of personal workings going on with that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and that's kind of the concept of this idea. The list is like, we try to do this unbiasedly by using like grading scales and such.
It's really hard.
But honestly, it's a lot of opinion. Like me saying something is an 8 versus a 4, it's just that's how I feel about it. So that's how you feel, you know.
And two, like something that you're, at least to my knowledge, your grading scale doesn't think about that I do, whether I realize it or not, is the message that's being sent.
That is a great point.
Like
that I haven't thought about before.
Yeah, like what? Not even necessarily in the lyrics, because there's this whole like totality of the concept of it all they have to think about. And so like for me, like and we'll get into it in a few episodes, but like my top albums, the message really resonated with me. And I think that I could talk about like at long end for a long time. And so that's what made this album so hard for me, is that technically it's good, but the writing got hit really hard because of the interpolation of a lot of other songs that he didn't write. The artist growth got hit really hard because I felt like we literally took a step backward, to me, but like some people might not feel that way.
Yeah.
So you're right. There's a lot of, even though it is attempting to be unbiased, it's really difficult because there's so much with music that is personal, and it's intended to be personal.
It's subjective. It's a completely subjective art.
They want it to hit personally for someone, whoever that person is.
Who's listening. Yep.
Yeah.
On a different note, my next album is our second venture into pure electronic music. And it is Joyride's album Brave. So I found Joyride over the summer. There was a bunch of live streams put on by Insomniac, and Insomniac is the events production company that runs like Electric Daisy Carnival and just the biggest festivals everywhere in the States. And so they were doing a bunch of free live streams with the artists, and I watched Joyride play one time, and I was like, and I'm not the biggest house music fan, but I was really, really into everything that he does. And this is a house music album. It starts with him like the intro I thought was really cool because it starts with him going from the stage with like a big "thank you everybody" to a surgery immediately, and like the cover art is the pins in his neck. And you can hear stuff like the doctor go, all right, we're about to put you under, yada yada, all right, and here we go. And then the album starts. he's really, really good at house music, but homie is also really, really, really good at trap. And songs like Focus with I think you say it Phase. It's FZE. It's right here. That song slaps. There's also this song Milk with Phase as well. Works. Yardy is a work of art. 4 a.m., which is my favorite song, is very, very dark. Is very like housey and kind of almost ventures into like a psytrance lane. This album is very good. If you're ever just doing cardio, I highly recommend doing this because it's very easy to keep up and run with it. It is a very, very, very good album by an artist that's definitely on the rise, just being more well known outside of just like the hardcore EDM kids. Because he's made a couple of other songs that have just been played out by everybody, and it's really, really cool to hear a complete body of work. It's also one of the longer albums because it's an hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah, I was looking.
So
at
you
that
can
put it up
you can put this on and then just like clean. You can put this on and run around. Like it is great.
and run around.
Yeah, like I went to Planet Fitness the other day, and this was I stair climbed for 45 minutes, and then I like was on an elliptical for the rest of the album, and I was like, this is just nice.
Go frolic to this album.
Honestly, though, it is so nice. It also makes me miss like live EDM shows so much.
Bro, I miss live anything at this point.
Dude, it's so good.
Cool.
All right. So my number, 45 then is Chilumbo by Janae Aiko. I hope I said her name correctly. I'm not super great at that, I think. But so this got an 8.3 from me as well. And what's interesting is, one, it came out a while ago. This is from like December or January. Long minute ago for at least our release window goes. And what's impressive is that it's long. It's 20 songs in an hour and 3 minutes. But it kind of earns the time. It's really good. The track flow is super strong. She also had a number of features on here, and honestly, all of them kind of bodied. Like, we've got Big Sean, the Future and Miguel song was really strong for me.
Yeah.
She even got Absol, who like barely does anything anymore. She also got Dr. Chill. Like, excuse me. Nas,
John
Legend, and the Ty Dolla $ign song. They worked a lot together this year, so like that was pretty much a given. And then she even did a deluxe version of it, which is a true deluxe. It's not like a second album. She just added a bunch more songs to it with really, once again, impressive cover art. It's really long though. It's like 29, like an hour and a half. So if you're really Janae Aiko, like congratulations, she gave you guys a present. But even at that, a couple more songs in there that were really cool. Really strong for me as a whole. What's interesting is like we see kind of like the story of her and like Big Sean with his new album this year. Because when she first dropped this, the None of Your Concern song was like a diss track to Big Sean. And then he was featured on it. And it was like, hold up, what the hell is going on? But now they back together. Like
it's kind of like her Lemonade, not Lemonade.
Yeah, like they put out like a bunch of songs. Like neither one of them cheated or did anything wrong, that as far as we know. But like essentially, like they just broke up and they went and progressed as individuals, and they each started to make their own albums, and then they got back together, and then they started doing music together again. Like she was featured on his song "Single Again" about him being single, and I was like, "Yo, what is happening? This is like the healthy celebrity relationship breakup song." I don't know. Either way, it was kind of cool to like see a window into her personal life with this album, and yeah, it impressed me. Also, I have to say too, something that I thought was really cool but also hilarious is, I'm pretty sure, this song that's called Pussy Fairy, for anyone who's wondering, she showed a video on Instagram of her with this like bowl, and she's like, I'm really into these like glass bowls that are like meant for like prayer or something in like the menstrual cycle, but I played it on that song. And I was like, this is crazy. Like the concept of her going like, this is my womanhood. I was like, honestly, I respect it. Like, you do
That's
you,
cool.
girl.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was really cool.
All right. My 44 is Feared by Hell by the Social Club Misfits.
Oh, I didn't listen to this one.
I didn't spend a lot of time with it,
Uh-huh.
but has some good bangers. Act of God, No Big Deal. No Big Deal is quickly. He been my second favorite.
No Big Deal
CHH
slaps,
artist.
for sure.
Aha's number one, but No Big Deal is right there with him, especially with the stuff he's been dropping recently. But No Big Deal is on there, so it's gonna be a banger. He's got a 1K feature. He's got a Ty Brazzle feature. Holvy's on
Jeremy
a song.
Camp.
Jeremy Camp.
So I was trying to dance around the Jeremy Camp feature. It's fine. It's fine. But again, this album suffers from the same, like, not issues to a lesser extent, which is why it's above it, as KB's album. And I misspoke earlier. So KB is also on Capitol Records, which is what Social Club is also on. Which is why they have like Jeremy Camp and people like that.
Okay.
But they really hyped this album up. Like, they did a ton of lead up.
They did.
And Social Club Misfits has never been my favorite. I've never super loved their stuff. I listened to their very early stuff, which had Aha on it, oddly enough, before Free Barabbas came out, which is
Wow.
super wild. Yeah. He did a hook for him on a song before Free Barabbas came out. But they are really true to themselves and really true to their brand, and very, like, what's the word? It's not trap. It's not like very hype rap. It's more like, it's very lyrical. It's very very storytelling focused.
And lyrical.
Yeah, but they, like Marty especially, who is the one on the right in the picture. Marty is a very good storytelling rapper, I feel. I think that's when he's at his best. Whereas a lot of people, like No Big Deal, comes in with the one-liners and the puncher, like the punchlines and all this stuff, and that's what he's really good at, which happens to be what I really love in rap. And so, like, Marty doesn't quite fit what I'm used to, but I really appreciate his ability. And then Fern has this worldliness to him because he's been through a ton of shit in his life. But he has this very you can feel his presence on the album even without seeing it. They both have that quality. So it's good. I liked it more than I thought I would, I think, but it still isn't. They've never been my favorite, and so it definitely doesn't quite go as high up on the album or on the list as some other CHH projects that we'll talk about in a little bit. But all things considered, it's very good. Very quality Social Club project for sure.
So just looking at this cover art, the only thing I have to say is you see, which one is this? This is Marty. Yeah, this is Marty. Looking at this cover art, Marty appears to have gotten into a fight, and I'm just wondering, does he have the same makeup artist as The Weeknd this year? Like, is that just like a thing now that like the makeup artist is gonna show up and beat you up before the photo shoot?
So the concept of this album, at least to me, is like, it's been a really like shitty year, hard year, and so like they have like come out on the other side like beat up, but they're still like maintaining their spirituality, so they're feared by hell because they've been able to go through it all. Which is why like it starts off with like Act of God, and then like God on My Side is the name of one, Luau, Night Glow, Savior. Like they're all very like positive through the negative type vibes. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so my next album is by a rapper, and that rapper's name is Moneybagg Yo.
Time Served.
Yeah. So my number 44 is Time Served. So this is not the deluxe version. I like the way. One, I didn't think that a deluxe of this was necessary. I thought this was fine as a complete project. Also, I prefer the order that this flows in compared to the deluxe. he just like moved the Megan Thee Stallion the song to earlier on, and then the Deluxe ends with the Dem People freestyle. But I think I really like where it is on the regular version of the album right after Thug Cry, because Thug Cry I think is a very good song. It is very emotional, and I was not expecting it. The features on here, Megan kills it, Fredo Bang kills it, Summer Walker crushes it, DaBaby slaughters this song.
Slaughters.
It's just
With a name like Protect the Brand, I feel like that's just exactly what DaBaby does.
Oh, it is just like it hits so hard. Lil Baby, great year. Future does future things. And then my favorite song was 1-2-3 with Black Youngsta, and this song just makes me happy. Like, it is not necessarily the best rap song, but it's another one. It's kind of like it has a pick up the phone moment where you're like, this is a rap song, but he's like, actually, I'm not gonna cheat on my girlfriend this time. He was like, he's talking about, he's like, why would I trade in a dime for a penny? I was like, I see you, Black Youngster, being positive. It also led into, this song gave way to, they put out a mixtape together this year. That was also very good. I did not grade it. But the mixtape gave us gave us the classic I Thought a Broke Nigga Said Something. Which is a bar in and of itself. He also, like, Moneybagg Yo is one of those rappers that is very centered on their voice, and how they deliver on their track is very slow and methodical because his voice is so low. And it's really, really nice to hear, like, somebody who can, in a day where now it's either really fast or all triplets or auto-tune, sing-songy, or whatever Young Thug decides to do in the morning. Like, it is just, it's kind of nice just to hear somebody rap. And the beats on this are insane. Like, just absolutely insane.
Beat selection was fire. I agree. My number 44 is another Spanish album, and it's J Balvin, Colors. I'm gonna say it completely in American English because I'm not gonna try to hurt anyone's culture by mispronouncing it. But Colors by J Balvin. It's just a very tight album. It is 10 songs, 28 minutes, and from start to finish, it bops. But what really got me on this is, one, the cover art by Takashi Miramurta, who does this whole flower, psyched out kind of artistry, I guess. Did the cover art. So the cover art is really, really good for me. But what I like about it is it's called Colors, but every single song name is a color in Spanish. Amarillo, Azul, Rojo, Rose, Moroda. And he said that when he was making this music, like, he was kind of just making these songs, and then he and like his whole team were like, let's close our eyes, and depending on like what they heard, it's kind of like that whole thing with like the Soloist movie or Synesthesia, where like you see color. He doesn't have that, but like apparently like him and his team would like close their eyes, and he's like, it just felt to me like orange, and orange feels like sunshine, and this song felt to me like blue, and it reminded me of water by
Dabba-dee-dabba-die.
Good one.
I'm sorry, I was waiting on it.
It was just cool that he like was like, I'm just basically sonically creating these songs based off of how does the music feel to me and what colors do they make me think of. Kind of like Channel Orange, if Channel Orange had every song based off of a color, essentially. So great concepts, and like I said, it is bodied. I mean, he's one of the kings of reggaeton. He just bodies. Like, he's great. I threw this on one time when I was cooking, and I was just like, ooh, I am in my vibe right now. Like, it is just a mood. Like, I think we were making tamales or flautas or something, and I was like, let's go. But yeah, really impressive stuff from him. First actually project I've ever listened to from him all the way through. So
tamales hit different, dude.
They really do, though.
Chimichangas too.
That's crazy. I need to listen to that. I haven't
It's really cool. Yeah.
My 43 is Divine Storm by Ty Brazzle.
Oh.
Yeah. So Ty Man, young Ty Man. He's really cool, honestly. He slots into a very unique space in CHH to me. He works with a lot of different people. He doesn't really have, I say, like an allegiance. Like he doesn't have a label, doesn't have a group or crew that he runs with necessarily. He does work a lot with Jay Monty, which I really like. He has the track "I'm Grateful" with him. He has The Power with KB on it. He does a lot of songs with him, and then Highlight has got RG and 1K. And anytime 1K and RJ link on any song,
magic happens.
About to go
magic
off.
happens.
Like
Yes.
it literally is the recipe. Anyway, so that's cool. But
do you think that was supposed to be on the RJ and 1K album?
I mean, it maybe, but I don't.
That we're not
know.
getting because somebody broke into RJ's car.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. But what I like about this album is it's a very good continuation of his previous project from 2018, Destined for Greatness. His brand of CHH is very like storytelling again, very like personal points, but then like connecting it to bigger ideas. And so like in my opinion, this is definitely his best project just because he's been putting out pretty consistent amounts of like singles and doing features all over the place and doing things. But this project to me is his most complete one. It's not very long. It's a pretty easy listen, but it's very cohesive. Night Dreaming track 2 is probably like the best example of his sound, I think. Because it doesn't have any features, so it doesn't really have any other influences on it, but it's very like not Drake-esque, but kind of like driving down like the main road of a semi small town at like 1 a.m. Like that's the vibe I get from it. And he's from
Tennessee. Like a drive through Birmingham versus a drive through Atlanta.
Yeah, like he's from Memphis, I believe. He's from Tennessee, so he has that southern rap tone in like his delivery. And so he reminds me of what like I think a lot of I don't really know how to word it. I'll back off that point. I was gonna say like if JT was a rapper and did it really well, I think this would.
He also looks like JT.
He does, and the being from Memphis, the parallels there. But I think like there's a lot of artistry that they have in common, which I think is cool. But the most surprising thing about this album is the fact that I discovered J-Way out of it. So J-Way is featured on Paid For It down there, and J-Way is crazy cool. He doesn't have a lot of material out right now, but he has a couple songs, and he kind of hits this like emo CHH rap, like Juice WRLD-ish type stuff. I don't know. He's got a Christmas project. I didn't know that. He got Teen Gohan. Anyway, but he's super cool too. And finding him out of this was probably one of the cooler parts of it to me. I love when like you find a feature and that feature ends up being somebody you really like.
Yeah.
That you weren't familiar with before. And J-Way has a song with RG as well. Or RG's on a J-Way song or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh, it's the On the Rise.
Yeah,
I remember this.
Yeah.
This was
That's
good.
Right. Yeah, so that's his song too. But the No I'm Not Okay song, like his number one streaming song right now, is crazy cool, and I think it's very interesting like where it fits in the genre. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about him when we're talking about this album, but yeah, I think Divine Storm is Ty Brazzle is definitely his best project for me. And the only reason it's not higher, I think, is at this point, I'm starting to get to the place now where I'm out of the kind of like sameness where now everything that comes after this, I just thought was better.
Yeah.
Like I just thought that the things that come after were better. And so, yeah, it's a good album.
Sicko. All right. So we're on 43. My number 43 is Party Pack by Party Next Door.
I didn't even know this came out.
Yeah, right. So I think Party Next Door just needs so much more credit than everything that he's getting. This album is so good. It's like it's one of my favorite Party Next Door projects. It also makes me sad that he's just kind of stuck in OVO territory, like OVO writing for everybody else territory, and not just like putting out full length projects. Because I remember for a while it was gonna be him that was gonna be the next one to blow, and then
Yeah.
unlike The Weeknd, he didn't get out and is now just kind of stuck. And I feel bad for him because this project slaps. Like West District is just go so hard. It was really cool to hear a posthumous Nipsey Hussle verse. It was nice.
Yeah, that's
Quavo.
cool.
This was a return to the year when Quavo was on every single song and every single song slapped. This was that Quavo. It was great. And even honestly, Yachty rapped real well on this project. But Party Next Door is so smooth. And it was really interesting to kind of listen to him try to take back thug R&B a little bit, and just kind of be like, hey, I'm still here, I can still do this, and I can still do this really, really well. I just really wish that he was not stuck underneath Drake.
Huh. That is interesting. I like I said, I totally didn't even notice it, and as you said, like exactly that's half the
Yes, he's been
problem.
giving songs to Drake for the other projects and albums for the longest time, and it's like not necessarily a bad thing, but like he could be I remember for a long time people talked about him like he was the next big thing. Like if like the success that we're seeing with like The Weeknd was supposed to go to Party Next Door, like that is like how it's revered, but he didn't make the correct moves and just is now trying to recapture that. And his music is solid. Like everything that like even like Party Mobile, which is
That was
like
his other album this year, right?
yeah, which is
Mm-hmm.
even longer. When this one was 15 songs in 56 minutes, was very good. And Drake's on there twice. He has a Rihanna feature on it. It's very
Yeah,
good.
the
It's
first like
just
Rihanna feature, like Rihanna's like actual like recorded vocals in like 4 years or something like that. It's like
yeah,
ridiculous.
and it's really cool. It's just sad that he's stuck in this hole behind one of the biggest artists of all time.
Hmm.
So I think the dichotomy of him and The Weeknd is very interesting.
It is. Very
Also, I
interesting.
snuck dichotomy into the podcast again.
Dang it. There it goes. My number 43 is once again not in English. It is, or mostly not in English. It is Map of the Soul 7 by BTS. So this project, it's interesting. Like I'm trying to looking at it from, I am a fan of BTS, but I'm not like part of the whole army-ish or anything like that. That's not my vibe. I just respect them. And if I was in the army, mad respect to them because they gave this fan base an hour and 15-minute album with 20 songs. And for the most part, it slapped. It is not my favorite BTS project though. Love Yourself Tear from 2018 is my 2018 list. That's my favorite. They also just put out like a brand spanking new, they're calling it an album, but it's rather short. It's called B. It's 8 songs and 28 minutes. Not on my list. I did not grade it, but this is incredible. That's my second favorite. The production on that goes crazy, and they emphasized more rapping on it, which is arguably my favorite part of BTS, to be honest. But Map of the Soul was good. They basically took looking at their catalog again, and this is kind of apparently a thing in Korea or maybe Asia as a whole. But they came out with an EP last year that I absolutely detested. That I talked about on our last year's countdown called Map of the Soul Persona. That was 7 songs in 26 minutes. Basically, it's an EP, and it had a Halsey song, and it had like 1 or 2 other songs on here, but the rest of it I thought was terrible because they sang too much and they settled back into a sound that was too familiar to them. They took some songs from that, the best songs, put them on here, and then just gave you a bunch of new content. And one, cover art goes crazy. There's 4 different versions of it. They always do that apparently though, and that's
Interesting.
dope. Marketing was fire. Artistic growth was pretty strong for me, but they just went in for most of this album. There's an equal amount of singing and rapping, I would say. And it goes back to this format of intro and outro. They always do that for some reason on all their albums, which is pretty cool because I like being warmed up and I like being cooled down.
Let it down softly.
Uh-huh. Exactly. So I don't really have like a ton to zoom in on specifically song wise here. All I'm gonna say is like I watched this morning actually, they did a bunch of stuff for Jimmy Fallon a couple months ago, like a whole episode basically for him. And they did a song called Home, and it was crazy. Like the way they filmed it. Like I know they have a whole team backing them because they're part of this major K-pop label, but like they just do good content. They did great virtual performances this year after they canceled basically the most insane tour ever because they sold out 50,000 seat arenas in like an hour or something. It was crazy. Yeah, people go crazy for them. They're impressive. And like if you're an English, like an American, I should say, who's like, I'm kind of sleeping on BTS because like K-pop's not my vibe. Like they look like girls or whatever. You haven't
like
listened.
girls.
That's what a lot of people say. They're like, oh, they wear makeup and stuff like that, like be all homophobic and stuff, whatever. You haven't listened to their music then, because we're going to talk about BTS one other time during my countdown. Some of these boys body. They also can dance, which is insane. Like they can really freaking dance. Like their James Corden dance was crazy. I could talk about them forever, but shout out to like not being toxic masculinity and listen to BTS, fam.
So my number 42
42
is not a reissue, but a deluxe edition of an album from last year that I know you guys talked about, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on.
Okay.
But this is Blood Harmony, the deluxe one.
Oh, yes.
By Phineas. And instead of talking about that album specifically, because I don't have a lot to say, I want to talk about kind of my discovery of Phineas as an artist and as a producer over the past couple months. I love his production style. I love his ability to find sounds everywhere and to find production things everywhere. And so you guys were talking earlier with the J Balvin project about synesthesia. You know that he and Billy have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I did
like
not know that.
Yeah, he and Billy
that
both
makes
have
sense.
it. Exactly. And so like thinking of that concept is like they're able to have so much more creative like inspiration from sound because they can visualize it, which is so wild. Like
it's crazy.
I was listening to or reading something and like Billy was saying that like Bury a Friend is like gray and something else from her album. I don't even remember. But When the Party's Over is velvety. If you can touch smoke, that's what it feels like. I was like, that's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
I know. And so like that contributed a lot to me like really getting into it. And so I just really like it.
I also
pretty much all there is to say.
Yeah, the one that I'll say on it is just I like, because looking at when it was initially issued, technically it wasn't issued as an album. Interesting. I loved this cover art a lot last year because I'm a sucker for sunsets and how he's on it, but he's like a speck basically just running through Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
I respected that. And then you look at it this year as the deluxe and it's
dark.
It's like dark nighttime, like with the same image, like chef's kiss to just like updating your cover
continuity.
art. I love that. I really love that a lot.
Really liked it.
My 42 is by They, and it is the Amanda tape.
Oh.
So I kind of wanted to, because I listened to this the same day I listened to the Party Next Door album, and I was like, I wonder who the Weeknd's Party Next Door is, and I think it's They. Not necessarily in a way that he's using them for songs, but in a way that he kind of has taken them under his wing, but very low key. Not like how he took Nav under his wing for that little bit of time and was like popping up at all of his shows, but it definitely sounds like he has had a hand in shaping how they make music. just first off, I like how the cover art is just a white background with a cassette tape on it. That
it's
makes
cool.
me happy. These dudes can sing. Like it is a
They
very
can.
very smooth album. Not as it doesn't have as much of an edge to it as I would like necessarily. And it is not as dark as I would like it to be. I feel like it is kind of missing that edge, honestly, is the best word for it. It's like they just put a little bit more grit on it. I feel like I would have enjoyed it a whole lot more. But that being said, it's very good. Juicy J slaughters a feature on it. He brings back the Fuck the Club Up sample from the 3-6 Mafia days, which I thought was really cool. And also Wale was very good on this. So yeah, that is the Amanda tape.
Heck yeah, dude. Okay, so my 42 is No Song Without You by Hone. So
I meant to listen to this.
It's good.
I've not heard of them.
I've really gotten into Hone in the past like year and a half. I put their last like full length project was on my 2018 list, or I think it was 18. It was called Love Me, Love Me Not. I really love this album.
What is that character beside their song names?
So if you notice it, it's like a half moon symbol for the first half of the album, but then at exactly
to the other side.
it switches to the other side halfway through. I don't know why they do it, but it's
so interesting.
They also like have their cover art as well.
Does it do the same thing on the album you're talking about?
No.
Okay.
I don't know why they did it for that one. But I thought that was
we
really
got
cool.
the lowercase.
Yeah,
the lowercase.
Get the lowercase, all lowercase.
With a
period. But I don't think I like this project as much as Love Me, Love Me Not. But it's still Hone, so they still make incredible music. Their production is always like 10 out of 10 usually. And essentially, like, a lot of this is really reflective of like them during this year, of them in like quarantine, of being like, listen, fam, I'll be alone. And it kind of talks about this story of a guy and a girl and saying I love you. There's no, I don't write songs without you. But then there's also just like this idea of like, I can't see you because like we're in quarantining in different places. So really just approaching the concept of 2020 from their kind of standpoint. It was really cool. And I don't know which one of them is the one who sings on all of them, but his voice is just like, oof, chef's kiss. It's so good. Super into it. It's kind of sad, kind of melancholic. Shout out to this song that's called Social Distancing, where every single letter is spaced out.
Yeah,
so keeping their 6 feet apart in like verbiage format. Love it.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's like it kind of goes in it with like a light concept, but I gave this as an overall an 8.5 because it impressed me.
Cool. All right, my 41, and again, I don't want to talk too much about it because I know that there'll be other people who want to talk about it down the line. But this one is Post-Human Survival Horror.
Nice.
By Bring Me the Horizon. I don't think I was mentally prepared for Ollie Sykes to yell at me again. Like
that's fair.
Especially not after Ammo.
Yeah.
Especially not after Ammo.
Like I wasn't man, because I even feel like this is more hardcore than when I listen to them a lot. Like I don't feel like this is even the same as like, because I really like That's the Spirit, and I don't feel like it's that similar to That's the Spirit.
It's heavier than That's the Spirit.
That's what I mean. Like it's a lot more hardcore. It almost like not even post-hardcore. Like this is OG. Like, yeah.
Dear Diary is like some old school.
Yes.
Not quite Suicide Season, but some old school.
When it started, it alarmed me.
It did.
I was scared for a hot second.
You were starting to have If We Will Ever Sleep flashbacks, weren't
bro,
you?
like I would. Oh my god! Shout out, that's another deep cut. But no, like I was not, as someone who got into hardcore like later than some other people, I was not ready for this version of Bring Me the Horizon. But it's cool. Like I love it. It just, yeah. yeah, very.
I was happy to hear him screaming again, like fully screaming.
It's
fun.
cool because he's one of the best at it. So I do appreciate him doing it. Like after Carlisle quit and after what's his name left Issues, and like the good screamers are not as easy to find, at least in that older guard of hardcore music.
Yeah.
The people who like were during our angsty years. Because like Carlisle, in my opinion, is probably the best screamer I've heard. But
I got to give it to Jake Lurs from ABR.
Okay, yeah, no, that's okay. Anyway, Ollie's
that's a different conversation.
Nah, yeah, that's okay. But Ollie's up there, and so I think like they are able to do this sound really well, and they haven't in a while, and so it was interesting to see them go back to it. So it's almost like artistic growth is a good quality here, but they're going to a sound that they've done before, sort of, but doing it in a newer way. So cool
and
stuff.
I'll expound on this later.
Yeah.
But
Same.
just like a tidbit. But like I think it was interesting that it was a heavy album that they put out during quarantine, where they don't have to tour it. Because I feel like part of him not screaming as much was that they were becoming bigger and bigger as a band, and his voice wasn't going to be able to hold up with as many shows as they were going to have to do as this big mainstream band as he was when he was doing that all the time. So it'll be interesting to see when shows come back how much of this gets played. Like I definitely think they'll do like Kingslayer and like Teardrops, but like and Obey will happen. But I don't know if Dear Diary or Teardrops might not. I don't think that'll happen on a consistent basis. But they have been doing that like 7-minute this is what we used to sound like thing during their shows and just scaring some children.
That's how I felt, dude. When Dear Diary came on, I was so alarmed. I was like, this is terrifying.
There was a video of this little girl there. She went with her older brother, and you could tell her older brother knew old Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
But she was there, and she had on her like ammo gear, and they had just played like In the Dark or something, and like it was super calm. He goes, all right, well, this is for the few people in here that remember us from what we used to sound like. And they just rip right into Diamonds Aren't Forever. And you can just see people just like, you could tell who had been there, because everybody was like, open pit. And then he's like, protect the children. And this little girl's like, I've never heard somebody just before. I thought it was
Diamonds
hilarious.
Aren't Forever is, man, that one goes. Anyway.
It makes me happy though that they have that much. They're able to be that versatile that well.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I pulled away from it.
Yep,
versatility.
I agree. Artistic growth, man. Talk about that artistic growth, dude.
Shout out to Note to Scene for doing their podcast episode or 2 episodes on how Bring Me the Horizon became the biggest scene band in the world.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Which is wild to think about because Paramore is not a scene band anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are the biggest. They are the biggest scene band. We're gonna do featuring Ty Dolla $ign by Ty Dolla $ign.
Yes.
So I am gonna say, just to start off, I'm glad that this was not the conclusion of the Beach House series like it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this was nearly as good as Beach House 3 was. I'm going to talk about all the negative things first. I thought it wasn't as good as Beach House 3 or Beach House 2. I thought just as a project in concept, I thought it was cool because, yes, usually when you see Ty Dolla $ign on a feature, you're like, all right, this is about to smack. And that's true. And a lot of these do smack, but it felt like a compilation album rather than an actual body of work, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's fair.
Beach House 3, even though there was a ton of features on that, and it's even like Free TC, there was some features on there. They felt like albums. This felt more like a greatest features list. Like we just made a playlist. A greatest hits of features, not even like a greatest hits.
Yeah.
And some of them were cool, like the track 6, Real Life. Real Life felt like Real Life was my favorite song because it felt like the most like Ty Dolla $ign song. Like it felt like he controlled where that song went.
Yeah.
Yo, my dude got a Skrillex feature down there.
Oh, dude, Skrillex and Kanye.
That's crazy.
He has 2 Kanye features on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and I just think it was really interesting. I thought it was too long. It's 25 songs, even though it's only an hour. It is a very it is a not a drag to get through. It just feels like some of this could have been cut. It's like the Drake thing, where like less is more. I feel like, especially as we get towards the bottom, some of them could have been removed. And it would have just made it a little bit more cohesive. With that being said, dude can sing and dude can write hooks like nobody's business.
You really can.
It's like, it is ridiculous how good his hooks are. Like, the real life hook is super sad, but you still can drive down the street to it and be like kind of bopping. The way that he can collab with people is great. Expensive with Nicki Minaj is one of my favorite songs now, just in general. I think it's hilarious, some of the things that he says in this. Just like, hey girl, it's not your face, it's your ass. Oh wait, no, it's not your ass, it's your face. That the first time I heard him say that, and like just that made me almost crash my car because I was laughing so hard. Because like it doesn't seem like it is like a genuine like creepy thing, and it just seems like he's being funny. And I was like, I enjoyed that. I really appreciated getting to go with our friend Max, going to see him on the Beach House tour in Atlanta.
Dude, I wish.
Getting to do that 4-hour long wait. It wasn't actually a 4-hour long wait, but in between 24 hours and Ty Dolla $ign, 24 hours got off the stage at like 9. Ty Dolla $ign did not appear until 11:30.
It's so crazy. Long.
It was wild. We also had feature. He also brought out the Migos and just Future and Young Thug. Even though Thug didn't come out when he was supposed to be there, he came out at the end with Future for no reason. And we were like, "You're not even on this song, sir." But the Young Thug's gonna do what Young Thug's gonna do. But I really appreciated this album. I liked it. I think that I feel like next time he puts out an album, it should be a Ty Dolla $ign album, not an album of songs also featuring Ty Dolla $ign.
Yeah.
Because like I can just listen to the radio and get tons and tons of Ty Dolla $ign features whenever I want. I would like him to make songs like My Horse is in the Stable, or Drop Top in the Rain, or Don't Sleep on Me, Don't Judge Me, Dawson's Break. Which, most of those are from Beach House 3 because Beach House 3 was so good. Dawson's Break.
You couldn't call it Dawson's Creek because it's copyright.
Blood.
So he called it Dawson's Break.
I'm so done.
It's an incredible track.
Insane.
Though.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going back to Free TC because that was also, he put out Campaign in 2016, which people need to listen to more.
Yeah.
Because that album was also very good.
Revisiting that in 2020 is really interesting.
But even if you look at Free TC, and I know I'm getting distracted because that is not what we're talking about. This is a 20-track album. It's an hour and 27 minutes. There's
long.
Not really that many on here that feel unnecessary.
I agree, though.
Like, just from start to finish. Like, he starts off with a Kendrick feature, then his E40, then Jagged Edge, then Babyface, then Trey Songz, this is a fantastic song.
I have it on vinyl. That's how good that album is.
This album is crazy. Fetty Wap, Future.
R. Kelly not aging well. R.I.P.
R.I.P. though.
You know.
Ray Shrimmer. Yo.
You got Ray. YG, Joe Moses, TC 4800.
That's crazy.
Like, it's crazy. And Quavo, just Quavo by himself. I feel like he needs to like just step like, because whenever he puts out songs that are his songs and are featuring other people, it's really great. It just feels like most of the time, and especially with this album, it was like too much emphasis on that featuring Ty Dolla $ign label, which would have been cool as like a mixtape, and not like his next album that could have been the conclusion to the Dream House or Beach House series, Dream House. So I feel like this is kind of what I was afraid Astro World was going to end up being. That I'm really happy Astro World wasn't, because I felt like Astro World could have been just a metric dick ton of features with a little bit of Travis Scott, but it was mostly Travis Scott, and then the features were just kind of like your seasonings to put on top of it. This felt like the meat and potatoes of this album was the features and not him himself.
Interesting. Okay, that is That's really interesting comments about that album because we're going to talk about it again for sure. My number 41 is The Long Goodbye by Riz Ahmed. Most people know this guy as like an actor, right? Because he was in Venom. He did a really great miniseries on HBO called The Night Of that like I binged in like 3 days, like blew my mind. But he also makes music from time to time. And I also, another note on his music too, he was on a remix from the Hamilton mixtape, and I didn't know that until this year. And
Was he in the Cypher or whatever? Like the Immigrants We Get the Job Done?
I think because there's like a couple of those remixes. It was either that or Wrote My Way Out because there's like 2 or 3 versions of that song too.
Okay.
It was one of the
That's
two.
sick, though.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sick because
Cool.
he raps. That's if he makes music, he's gonna rap basically, British rap. And this really impressed me.
It was Immigrants We Get the Job Done.
Oh, nice. I mean, because it makes sense because he himself is an Indian living in Britain, essentially. But from the jump, like, look at this cover art. This cover art is mad dope. And the concept of it is called A Long Goodbye because it's a very politically charged album in which he personifies, I guess, the United Kingdom or just England as a girl he's dating who he's breaking up with, where he talks a lot about how people who aren't white in England get treated like crap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because like we saw a lot of that talk this year from an American perspective, but someone else who's living in another third world style majority white country talking about it is really interesting.
Yeah.
And just what happens is you see there's a bunch of these little I guess they're like interludes essentially, where like the breakup is a skit, and this Mindy, that's Mindy Kaling, and Mahershala is Mahershala Ali, and she has all these people like even Hassan Minaj and stuff basically leave him like voice messages.
That's really sick.
He has a Jay Sean feature.
Yes, he also has the only feature who's not like an interlude artist is Jay Sean. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yo.
What?
Yeah,
Yo, Jay Sean has not put out material since 2016.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What a moment.
It's really wild. That
no, I'm wrong. He has a single that just came out. I'm wrong. His album was 2016.
But his last full project was 2016.
That's wild.
But then he hopped up on this
down.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that was him. Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, that's like the only feature who's not an interlude because everyone else is like a celebrity who like calls him and leaves him a voicemail about saying,
is it like the sage advice from who was it? I think it was Mike Posner.
Kind of like that. Kind of, yeah. Where like they left him sage advice. And in this case, it's different ones. Like Hassan Minaj, they calls him and is like asking him like where his borrowed sneakers are, but also I'm sorry that you and your girlfriend broke up and your girlfriend is England. Like really interesting. Like he chose people who are not white to also do the interludes. Like his mom is on here too. He also did a 12-minute short film.
Well, they're all Asian too, aren't they? Because Mindy's
Ursula is black.
Oh, okay, never mind. You're right then.
You know, actually, I think he chose people who are all Muslim. That was it. Because Mahershala is black, but he's Muslim.
This is true.
Yeah, so these are all people who are Muslim. So he's kind of targeting this idea of like Muslim people in Islamophobia, but also people who just in general just aren't white in Britain. It was super dope. Like he did a 12-minute short film that was like kind of the concept of this. That was really good, but really dark. And then he did a follow-up song called "I Miss You," in which he basically was like, "Oh, I miss my ex. I kind of miss England a little bit, but at the same time, it's a good thing because I needed to move on from that relationship." And it's just like, whoa, wild. So really impressive, like from a conceptual level, but also this dude can rap. Like his lyricism is like on point. Like he uses like some crazy words in his rap.
Okay.
And also too, it has that British, grime to it that like because of his tone of voice and because of like the drill scene there, it's like kind of grimy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I definitely think it's a project everyone should hit up because it's just different from anything I've heard in my life. Well, boys, that said, that is going to bring us to the end of the first episode of our 5-episode special 2020 Top 50 Albums. Thank you, everyone, for listening to it. Be sure to tune in to the remaining 40 albums, or 4 episodes that we will have out very soon. Thank you for listening to Wrapped. You can listen to every album we've included in our top 50 lists by visiting our Spotify account from the link on our website and checking out our playlist tied to each host. Remember, you can get behind the scenes and additional content by following us on social media via Instagram @Wrapped Podcast or Twitter @Podcast Wrapped, or email us musical suggestions via wrappedpodcast@gmail.com. You can view our videos on YouTube or listen to episodes on any music or podcast player. Lastly, Wrapped is hosted by Colton Hinderliter, Ryan Key, and Adam Stansell, with show artwork by Autumn Salazar. See you all next time on Wrapped.